I remember the day Ethan walked out like it was yesterday. We were in the kitchen of our ranch house in Montana, the kind of place where the mornings smell like pine and fresh coffee, and the evenings stretch out under a sky full of stars. I'd built that life with him over 15 years, raising cattle, fixing fences, dreaming about the future we'd carve out together on those rolling hills. But that morning, he stood there, boots scuffed from the fields, avoiding my eyes like I was a stranger. "Emily," he said, his voice flat as the prairie. "I need some space. I don't think I can do this marriage thing anymore." It hit me like a sudden storm rolling in from the Rockies, cold, unexpected, knocking the wind right out of me. I'd been his rock through everything. The lean years when the ranch nearly went under. The promotions at his job in town that turned our modest spread into something grander. The nights he came home exhausted from managing his father's old investments. And now, space. I gripped the edge of the wooden counter, my knuckles turning white. But I didn't break. Not in front of him. "Okay," I whispered, forcing the word out. His shoulders relaxed, like he'd been dreading a fight. "I think it's for the best," he added, still not looking at me. Best for who? I wanted to scream, but the hurt was too deep, like a knife twisting slow. Instead, I pulled open the drawer where we kept the important papers, the deed to the ranch, our marriage license, birth certificates. My hands moved on autopilot. Numb. "I've already talked to a lawyer," he confessed, sliding some documents across the table. That stung worse than the divorce itself. He'd planned this behind my back, like I was just another loose end to tie up. "So, you were waiting for the right moment?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. He nodded, eyes on the floor. "It's easier this way. Easier for you," I thought, bitterness rising like bile. I didn't argue. I signed the papers 1, 2, 3, 4 lines, each stroke feeling like I was carving away pieces of my soul. When I was done, I looked for the man I'd married, the one who'd kissed me under the northern lights on our honeymoon, who'd held me when my mom passed from cancer. But he was gone, replaced by this cold stranger. Ethan picked up the folder, gave a stiff nod. "I'll handle the ranch sale and the assets." "Sure," I replied, my voice hollow. And just like that, he left. I stood in the kitchen, staring at the empty space where he'd been, until my legs gave out. I slid to the worn linoleum floor, hugging my knees as sobs racked my body. 15 years. Gone. No sorry. No explanation, just gone. The days blurred after that. Ethan moved out, loading his truck with suits, fishing gear, and boxes of books without a backward glance. He looked relieved, like I'd been holding him back. That burned. Neighbors whispered, small-town Montana gossip travels fast. Some offered pitying smiles, others acted like they'd seen it coming. My best friend, Laura, was my anchor. She'd drive over from her place in Billings, sit with me on the porch swing, letting me cry until I was empty. "Emily, you didn't do anything wrong," she'd say, handing me a mug of hot cocoa. "You were the perfect wife, loyal, strong. You gave him your all. But if I was so perfect, why wasn't I enough?" I couldn't shake that question. Nights alone, I'd scroll through old photos on my phone, us on horseback at sunrise, laughing at county fairs, arms wrapped tight. I didn't delete them. Erasing them felt like erasing me. One afternoon, everything shifted. I was sorting mail. Ethan had forwarded some by mistake, and there it was, a glossy brochure for wedding venues. With a sticky note, "Options for our big day, Caitlin." My gut twisted. Caitlin. his assistant from the investment firm in town. It wasn't a fling, it was serious. They were planning a life while I was still picking up shards of mine. And the venue? Our mountain lodge, the cozy retreat in the Bitterroot Valley where we'd spent every anniversary. Where he'd whispered promises of forever by the fire. I slammed the brochure down, rage bubbling up hot and fierce. It was better than the numbness. Laura came over that night, found me boxing up Ethan's leftover junk. "You look different," she said. "I'm done wallowing," I replied, voice steady. "If he wants a new start, fine. But I'm reclaiming mine." She grinned. "There's the fighter I know." We packed it all, his flannel shirts, old rodeo trophies, dusty novels. Closing the closet felt like sealing a tomb. Weeks passed, and I started rediscovering Emily. I cooked hearty stews just for me, read thrillers Ethan had mocked as frivolous, hiked the trails around the ranch until my legs ached and my mind cleared. But Ethan didn't fade quietly. Laura showed me his social media, him and Caitlin at the lodge, announcing their engagement with cheesy smiles and hashtags like New Beginnings. Staring at that photo, his arm around her, the lake glittering behind them, something hardened in me. I couldn't let him rewrite our history, turning our sacred spots into his playground. I needed to protect what was left of my dignity. Little did I know, Ethan had overlooked something massive, a legal bombshell that would force us all to face the truth. The call from Mr. Harlan, my late father-in-law Elias's estate lawyer, came out of the blue one crisp Montana morning. I was out feeding the horses, the air sharp with autumn chill, when my phone buzzed. "Mrs. Walker," he said, his voice gravelly, like an old Western sheriff. "This is about Elias's will. There's something you need to know." I nearly hung up. Anything tied to Ethan's family felt like salt in the wound, but his tone stopped me. "Urgent?" Almost protective. "Go ahead," I said, leaning against the barn door. He explained the clause Elias had buried in the will, the inheritance Ethan relied on, the funds that expanded our ranch, bought his fancy truck, fueled his lifestyle, was conditional on our marriage. If Ethan divorced me without just cause, he'd forfeit it all. "No lupkokes. No appeals." It was Elias's way of ensuring his son stayed committed, knowing Ethan's impulsive streak. I froze, hay bale slipping from my hand. "You're saying, if we divorce, he loses everything?" "Precisely, Mr. Harlan confirmed. "Elias trusted you. Emily saw you as the steady hand Ethan needed. He made it ironclad, reviewed by top attorneys to hold up in court." My mind reeled. Ethan had signed off on the estate years ago, but never dug into the details. Too busy chasing deals. Arrogant as always. Assuming the money was his forever. "Why tell me now?" I asked. He sighed. With the divorce finalized and rumors of his engagement, I felt obligated. "Elias would have wanted you protected." He emailed me a copy, highlighting the key section, "Upon dissolution of marriage to Emily Walker, all bequeathed assets revert to a family trust for charitable purposes." A thrill shot through me. Not vengeance. Exactly. But justice. Ethan had tossed me aside, thinking he could keep the empire we'd built. But he'd signed his own downfall. That night, I pored over the document at the kitchen table, under the warm glow of the pendant light. Laura came over, her eyes widening as I explained. "Holy cow, Emily. This is straight out of a courtroom drama." I nodded, a mix of anger and empowerment surging. He didn't even bother to read it, too caught up in his midlife crisis. We laughed, but it was bittersweet. Part of me, the loyal wife who'd nursed him through flu seasons and celebrated his wins, wanted to warn him. But the betrayed woman in me, she whispered, let him learn. Ethan, oblivious, paraded his new life. Social media flooded with pics. Him and Caitlin horseback riding on trails we'd blazed. Toasting at local breweries. One post showed them scouting the lodge for their party. Banners reading, Ethan and Caitlin forever. My stomach churned. Our lodge, the cabin where we'd renewed vows on our 10th anniversary, watched eagles soar over the valley. How dare they? I decided to bide my time. Revenge wasn't my style. I wanted clarity. Maybe even closure. I'd let him bask in his illusion, then reveal the truth at the right moment. Not to destroy him, but to make him see the cost of his choices. Laura helped me plan over coffee at the diner. You're going to crash the party? She asked. Eyebrows raised. Not crash, attend. Caitlin sent an invite. Probably to rub it in. We mapped it out on a napkin. Show up composed. Hand him the envelope. Walk away with my head high. In the weeks leading up, I threw myself into ranch work, mending fences, riding the trails to build my strength. I even joined a book club in town, laughing with new friends over mysteries that mirrored my life. Ethan texted sporadically about dividing assets, but I kept responses neutral, letting him think I was defeated. Inside, I felt alive, like the Montana winds were carrying me forward. The invitation arrived, embossed cardstock announcing their engagement bash at the lodge. I placed it beside the will copy in an envelope, sealing it with steady hands. Laura checked in that night. You sure about this? Positive, I said. It's not just about him. It's about me standing up. As I drifted to sleep, the envelope on my nightstand felt like a talisman. No more hiding. It was time for the truth to set us all free. Living with the secret was like carrying a loaded gun, powerful, but heavy. On the surface, I played the part of the quiet ex-wife, tending the ranch, chatting with neighbors at the feed store like nothing was amiss. But nights found me wide awake, staring at the ceiling beams, replaying our life. How had we gone from partners in everything to this? Ethan had always been ambitious, turning his dad's modest oil investments into a small fortune that let us buy more land. I'd managed the day-to-day, content in our shared dream. Now, he was chasing youth with Caitlin, blind to the fallout. Laura became my confidant, helping me navigate the emotional minefield. This clause is gold, she said one evening on the porch. Stars twinkling overhead. But use it wisely, don't let anger consume you. She was right. I didn't want pure payback. I wanted him to reflect, maybe even grow. Montana's vast landscapes had taught me that storms pass, but lessons linger. Ethan's posts grew bolder, Caitlin in a cowboy hat at a rodeo, them planning the party with caterers from Bozeman. The lodge featured prominently the rustic beams, the stone fireplace where we'd shared so many quiet evenings. It fueled my resolve. I practiced my speech in the mirror. Calm, factual, no drama. Mr. Harlan confirmed the legalities over the phone. The clause is enforceable. Upon proof of divorce, assets transfer to the trust. No contest. Days before the event, tension built like thunderheads. I chose a simple outfit, a denim jacket over a sundress, boots polished, to remind him of the real me, not the polished version he'd left. Laura styled my hair, her hands steadying my shaky ones. Your force, Emily. Doubts crept in. Was I stooping to his level? But no, this was accountability. American style, where actions have consequences. The party eve, I drove to the lodge alone, scouting the familiar winding road through pine forests. Memories flooded. Our first trip, Ethan proposing by the lake under a full moon. Parking out of sight. I watched guests arrive, friends we'd shared. Now awkward allies in his new narrative. Caitlin's laugh carried on the breeze. High and forced. I slipped away unnoticed. Heart pounding. Back home. Laura waited with pizza. Recon mission complete?
Yeah.
Tomorrow. It's go time. Sleep evaded me, but dawn brought clarity. I wasn't the villain. I was the survivor. As I dressed, the envelope in my purse felt like armor. Laura drove me, radio playing country tunes about heartbreak and redemption. You've got this, she said, hugging me at the drop-off. I nodded, stepping into the sunlight. The lodge buzzed, string lights twinkling, tables laden with barbecue and pies. Guests mingled, toasting with local brews. I spotted them, Ethan in a tailored shirt, Caitlin in a flowy white dress, radiating false bliss. Whispers rippled as I approached. Is that Emily? Ethan froze.
Confusion flashing.
Emily, what are you doing here? Caitlin's smile tightened. I held my ground, voice even. Just came to congratulate you. I handed him the envelope. Something you might want to read. He opened it slowly, Caitlin peering over. Their faces drained of color as they scanned the clause. What the hell is this? Caitlin snapped. Ethan stammered. Dad's will. It says, if I divorce you. Gasps echoed from onlookers. I stood tall. Elias wanted to protect our commitment. You broke it. Now face the music. Chaos erupted. Caitlin's voice rose. You're broke? You promised me security. Ethan pleaded.
Kate.
Wait. But she stormed off, dress whipping in the wind. Guests murmured. Phone's out. Ethan turned to me, eyes pleading. Emily. Why now? Because you needed to see the full picture, I said softly. Not to ruin you, but to remind you, promises matter. Laura appeared at my side, guiding me away as Ethan slumped, alone amid the wreckage. The lake sparkled indifferently, a witness to it all. The air at the lodge thickened like smoke from a wildfire as Ethan clutched the envelope, his world crumbling in real time. Caitlin's shriek pierced the chatter. You lied to me. Before she vanished into the cabin, slamming the door. Guests shifted uncomfortably, their celebratory mood evaporating under the Montana sun.
I stod firm.
The pine-scented breeze ruffling my hair, feeling a strange mix of vindication and sorrow. Ethan's face twisted, shock turning to desperation. Emily, this can't be real. Dad wouldn't. He did. I interrupted gently. Mr. Harlan can confirm. It's all legal, probate court approved years ago. He sank onto a picnic bench, head in hands. I never read the damn thing. I trusted it was straightforward. Arrogance, his old flaw.
Leid bare.
Whispers swelled. Inheritance gone? Poor guy. But he asked for it. Caitlin's mom hovered, shooting me dirty looks. But I ignored her. This wasn't about spectacle. It was family drama unfolding in the raw, Western way, where truths hit hard like a bucking bronco. Ethan looked up, eyes red-rimmed. You planned this. To humiliate me. I knelt to his level, voice low.
No.
Ethan. I planned to protect myself. You divorced me without a thought, chasing something shiny. But Elias saw your patterns. He wanted you to value what you had. Tears welled. I messed up. Caitlin. She made me feel young again. But I never meant to hurt you this bad. For the first time, vulnerability cracked his facade. Memories flashed, him teaching me to rope cattle. Us dancing at barn parties. We had good times, I said. But you threw them away. This clause? It's a wake-up call. He nodded slowly. What now? The ranch. The investments, gone to some trust. Charity? Per the will. Elias wanted it to help local kids, like the ones we sponsored at 4-H fairs. Caitlin burst out, mascara streaked, yelling, I'm out. Find someone else to play house with a pauper. She grabbed her purse, peeling out in her SUV. Ethan didn't chase her. Defeat pinned him down. Guests trickled away, murmuring apologies. Laura stepped forward. Time to go.
Eminência.
But Ethan grabbed my arm softly.
Wait.
Can we talk? Alone. We walked to the lake's edge, waves lapping gently. I'm sorry, he whispered. For the divorce. The secrecy. I was scared of getting old. Of routine. But losing everything. It hurts. I sighed. It should. Pain teaches. Remember how we built that life? Teamwork.
Trust.
You forgot that. He hung his head.
Yeah.
Caitlin was a fantasy. You're real. Compassion stirred, not love, but humanity. The trust might have provisions, I said. If you contest ethically, show growth, maybe partial access. Talk to Harlan. His eyes lit. You'd help? Not for you, for Elias's memory. And our shared past. We sat in silence, the mountains watching like old guardians. As sun dipped, I stood. Take care, Ethan. Learn from this. He nodded. You too. You're stronger than I ever gave credit. Laura drove me home, the road winding through valleys. That was humane, she said. Not the revenge fest I expected. Revenge leaves scars, I replied. This? It's a lesson in valuing commitments. Back at the ranch, peace settled. I'd faced the storm, emerged whole. The fallout hit like a Montana blizzard, swift, blanketing everything. Local news buzzed. Local investor loses fortune to hidden will clause. Comments piled up online. A mix of schadenfreude and sympathy. Ethan vanished from social media. Caitlin ghosting him entirely. I fielded calls from mutual friends, explaining calmly, it's about consequences, not cruelty. Days later, Ethan showed at the ranch.
Hat in hand.
Looking weathered. Emily, can we talk? We sat on the porch, coffee steaming.
I've seen Harlan, he said.
The clause sticks. But there's a review board for appeals if I prove changed behavior, like counseling, community service. I nodded. Good. Elias wanted growth, not punishment. He leaned forward. I started therapy. Realized I was running from my dad's shadow, his expectations. Marrying you was the best choice I made. Leaving was the worst. Tears fell. I regret it all. My heart softened. Regret's a start. But actions matter. He agreed. I'm volunteering at the youth ranch, teaching kids about finances, responsibility. We talked hours, unpacking 15 years' joys, fights, the drift. No rekindling romance. That ship sailed. But closure bloomed. Thanks for not twisting the knife, he said. You could've. Hate poisons the holder, I replied, echoing an old ranch wisdom. Better to heal. Life moved on. I sold parts of the ranch to downsize. Poured energy into a small business, custom trail rides for tourists, blending mystery tours with local lore. Laura joined as partner. Our book club grew into a community hub. Ethan rebuilt modestly, working a steady job, donating to causes. We crossed paths at events, cordial nods evolving to friendly chats. One evening, at a county fair, he approached. Emily, I met someone slow this time. Learned my lesson. I smiled. Good for you. Value her. He grinned faintly. I will. Thanks to you. As fireworks lit the sky, I felt free, scarred but wiser. The light lesson? Commitments aren't chains, they're foundations. Break them carelessly, and empires crumble. But with humility, redemption rises. I'd lost a marriage, but gained myself. Under Montana's endless horizon,